Hey folks, welcome back to the shop. Right off the rip, I'm just going to tell you, I don't have a build for this week. A couple reasons why. But first, thanks for hanging out with me for a little bit. Now, here's why. One, I was way under the weather last week. I do all of my stuff, usually Friday, Saturday, follow up Sunday, that type of thing. But I got commissioned. That's the word, right? Um, when they start paying you for something, is that when you become a professional? That's what I was told. So I got asked to build something for somebody for money. I don't build stuff for money, but I will. It's a simple project. It's my design. It's something that I built before. A book stand, the book stands that you see me make. Anywho, so I was actually working on that, trying to, and I felt like a dog. I couldn't do it. Then I ran into some problems with the planer. Um, I have a Harbor Freight Bauer planer. You're going to get some snipe. You're going to get snipe on any planer. It doesn't matter. This was above and beyond. This was way unusual. And when I took it apart to change the blades, I came to a shocking realization. We'll get to that in a minute. I belong to different online Facebook woodworker forums and stuff like that. And the question always comes up, what's the best way to heat your shop? Heat with what you got. I don't care how you heat your shop. I use a kerosene heater, bought it at Walmart. For this space, it does a pretty good job, except on that last project when I said it's just not getting warm in here. We had some really high winds and it blew a piece of my insulation out up there, and that's why I couldn't get it warm in here. But anyway, what you heat with, I don't care. Like I said, I use a kerosene heater. It works well for me in this space. I used it up north in Pennsylvania in a concrete block garage. It did a great job up there. Some people will use propane. That's an open flame. That scares me a little bit. Some people will use electric. That's a super high utility bill. That scares me a little bit. I use kerosene. I can get it for a little over $4 a gallon. A gallon is going to last me probably enough for a project. Let's put it that way. But I don't want to talk about how you heat your garage. I want to talk about the effects of heating your garage or your shop or whatever. I don't heat this 24/7. Okay. For one, I'm not going to leave my kerosene heater run while I'm not out here. It's not safe. Okay. So there's times when I would like to not come out and do a project because it's below, it's 28 degrees or something. But I have to because, YouTube, that's great. So I don't have the option of not coming out at least for one day to do something. And so when I do, I fire up the heater. The problem with that, with the problem with not having a shop that's heated 24/7, even if it's heated to 45 degrees, is that condensation is going to build up on stuff. And so I wondered scientifically, I know what condensation is, and it gets on the side of your iced tea glass or whatever. But scientifically, it's basically voodoo is what it is. It's voodoo. Um, Cold air coming in contact with something warm is the way they explain it on, the whole AI internet thing. But it works in the opposite as well. Everything in here is cold, and you introduce hot air to a cold surface, and it's going to create condensation. I didn't really pay it much thought, like I said, until I was milling up the lumber to build this project. And I started to get snipe. And it wasn't just snipe, it was hardcore, nasty snipe. So I changed the blades because usually that's a sign that my blades are dull. I was shocked at what I pulled out. I'll bring you over, and I got them right here. I'll bring you over and let you take a look at them because it's sad. Okay, well, I'm not on the workbench because the light over here is better, but it's still not really showing up. as well as I would hoped it would. You can maybe catch a glimpse or two here or there. Let me bring it up close and hopefully. This whole cutting edge is rusted. The entire cutting edge on both of them. Watch me cut my fingers open now. It should be at least a little bit shiny like that. It's all rusted. I went ahead and took the planer back apart to show you what I found when I went in to change the blades. I actually cleaned this up a little bit, but this wheel right here is where my blades go. Let me get you in there. When I bought that, that was a brilliant, shiny, silver piece of metal. All of this due to condensation. So that caused me to start looking around at some other tools in my shop. And when I noticed my drill press, the chuck is rusted. Down here, where you slide the, what's that thing called? The table? I don't know. Where you slide that, that's rusted. This is sitting on my mechanics toolbox, and you would think it's inside. It should be safe. It is not. Oddly enough, in here are some sockets. Here's a perfect example. The sockets are collecting water and they're resting on the top. The lathe bed, ironically, fared pretty well. One, because I've been using the lathe a lot more than anything else in the shop. But if you remember, I threw some wax on here. So it's not that bad. The table saw is just the same. It never rusted, or at least the top of it didn't rust. I haven't looked underneath, but I keep the top of it waxed, so it did not rust. Fortunately, coming across here, my new miter saw also did not rust, and I don't have anything on that. It did not rust because the fence and the base are a cast aluminum, I believe. So what's my point in showing you all this? Well, the truth is I don't have a point, except that as a warning, I guess. I don't have a solution for you. I don't know what the solution to this problem is. Maybe you do. Maybe you can tell me the solution. I don't have the option to shut down my shop in the cold winter months. Again, thank you, YouTube. You're welcome. Appreciate it. I have to be out here at least 1 or 2 days. And if that's you, if you're a weekend warrior, or if you're making stuff to sell and you have to be out in your shop and you're warming it up, even if you're only warming it up to where you're comfortable with a jacket on, your tools are still going to sweat like a fat guy in Florida. No offense to fat people in Florida. Every time I go there, I sweat. Okay? And that's what's happening. The bulk of my planer is made up of plastic parts until you get to the inside. That's where the trouble was. So it's a warning. It's a, hey, take a look at your stuff, especially if you're heating your shop up. And then when you're done and you shut the heat off, come back out an hour later and just make sure nothing needs wiped off, because blades are pretty cheap for my planer. It's a 12.5 inch. It's a planer blade's a planer blade. I get them at Harbor Freight. They work just fine for me. So they're cheap enough. The blades I'm not worried about. It puts some pretty nasty snipe on these boards that I have to plane down. Now, I plan for that, so I make everything longer than what it needs to be. That's not the point. The point is, if it's doing that to the blades, what's it doing to the armature of the motor? What's it doing to a table saw blade? What's it doing to a miter saw blade? What's it doing to the chuck on a drill press? Maybe it's just a matter of coming back out once it starts to cool back off and wiping things off. I don't know. If you have an answer to this, please tell me. As you can see, I'm in a t-shirt tonight. It is 20 minutes to 7. By the way, this is last night. If you're watching this on a Tuesday, the day that I posted. Anyway, you can see that I'm in a t-shirt today because we're finally up into the 50s. And so I'm hoping that it's not something I have to keep doing, heating the shop up for a couple hours so I can do some work. I have to get this project done because, again, someone's paying me to do this. I have a couple of other projects that are going to become gifts for people. So I need to be out here. Hopefully, I don't have to fire the heater back up because I don't want to go and take everything apart just to make sure that it's not rusting away. I don't want to open my mechanics box. I was a mechanic before I went into ministry. That was my livelihood. I've got more than a couple of bucks wrapped up in my mechanics tools. I don't want to see them all get ruined because I want to be warm. So that's what I wanted to tell you today. Again, I don't have an answer. You can't work when you can't feel your fingers because it's cold. But if you get it warm, you got to check your equipment out. If you've got a solution, let me know. I can't imagine that I should be putting wax on a drill chuck, but maybe I do. Let me know. In the meantime, thanks for hanging out with me, folks. I appreciate it. Sorry I don't have a build this week, but hang in there for next week. I'm working on one of two. Not sure which one's going to be next week. If things go well, one of them is going to be a returning project that I dubbed a fail, and I stopped. And if you remember what it is, tell me down below. Because some of you said, hey, why don't you do this? Well, if it works out, that's going to be what I do. If not, I have a different project planned, which is going to be equally as cool. But in the meantime, like I said, thanks for hanging out with me today. I'm glad you guys stopped in. You know I love you. I'll see you on the next one. God bless you.